Letters of Swami Vivekananda, letter number 74, written to Sri Alasinga Perumal of Madras. Oriental Hotel, number 87, Main Street, Yokohama, Japan, 10th July 1893. Dear Alasinga Balaji, GG Banking Corporation and all my Madras friends. Excuse my not keeping you constantly informed of my movements as I should. In a long journey, one is so much busy every day, and especially myself, who is quite new to the life of possessing things and taking care of them. That alone is quite consuming all my energies. It is really an awful botheration. Within a week from leaving Bombay, we reached Colombo. Our steamer remained in the port for nearly the whole day, and we took the opportunity of getting down and having a look at the town. We drove through the streets, and the only thing I remember was the temple of Sri Buddha Bhagavan, where there is a very gigantic murti, that is statue of Lord Buddha, in a lying position entering the nirvana. The footnote reads, the Kelaniya temple is a Buddhist temple in Kelaniya, located 11 km northeast of Colombo. I tried to talk to the priest, but they do not speak any other language than Sinhalese, and so I had to give up the attempt. Kandy, a city 80 miles to the interior, is the center of Sinhalese Buddhism, but I had no time to go there. The lay Buddhists here, both men and women, eat flesh and fish, and only the priests are vegetarian. They are nearly the same in look and dress to your Madras people, and I do not know anything about the language they speak, but judging from the sound, it seems to be similar to your Tamil. The next station was Penang, which is only a strip of land along the sea in the body of the Malaya Peninsula. It is a very small town, but like all other newly built towns, is very neat and clean. The Malayans are all Mohammedans, and in old days were famous pirates and quite a dread to merchantmen. But now the Leviathan guns of modern turreted battleships have forced the Malayans to look about for more peaceful pursuits. From Penang to Singapore. On our way, we had a glimpse of Sumatra with its high mountains, and the captain, the footnote reads, Captain A.C. Login, had been in command of the ship SS Peninsular since 1889. Often the captain, when he was at leisure, would join Swamiji in his solitary walks. He showed him the entire ship, explaining to him the mechanism of the engines. The captain pointed out to me several places as the favorite haunts of pirates in days gone by. Singapore is the capital of the Straits settlements. It has a fine botanical garden with the most splendid collection of palms. The beautiful fan-like palm called the traveller's palm grows here in abundance, and breadfruit trees are everywhere. The celebrated mangosteen is as plentiful here as mangoes in Madras, but mango is non-perennial. The people here are not half as dark as the people of Madras, although so near the line. Singapore possesses a fine museum. The footnote reads, Raffles Museum, now the National Museum of Singapore, on Stamford Road, opened in 1887. A fine museum too. And drinking and debauchery ad infinitum, for that seems to be the first duty of the European settlers. And at every port, more than half the ship's company would go down to seek for places where, under the spell of wine and music, hell reigns supreme. But of this more anon. Next, Hong Kong. From Singapore, although it is in the Malaya Peninsula, you feel that you have reached China. The Chinese element predominates so much. All labor, all trade seems to be in their hands. And Hong Kong is real China. As soon as the steamer casts anchor, you are besieged with hundreds of Chinese boats to carry you to the portland. These boats are rather peculiar with two hems. The boatman lives in the boat with his family. Almost always the wife is at the helm, managing one with her hands and the other with one of her feet. And in 90 cases, you find a baby tied to her back, with a peculiar piece of bag leaving the hands and feet of the little chin free. It is a quaint sight to see the little John Chinaman dangling very quietly from its mother's back, while she is now scuttling with might and main, now pushing heavy loads or jumping with wonderful agility from boat to boat. And there is such a rush of boats and steam launches coming and going out. Baby John is every moment put into the risk of having his little head pulverized, pigtail and all. But he does not care a fig for all that. This busy life seems to have no charm for him, and he is quite content to learn the anatomy of a bit of rice cake or two the madly busy mother gives him from time to time. The Chinese child is quite a philosopher and calmly goes to work at an age when your Indian boys can hardly crawl on all fours. He has learned the philosophy of necessity too well. This extreme poverty of the poor is one of the causes why the Chinese and the Indians have remained in a state of mummified civilization. To an ordinary Hindu or Chinese, everyday necessity is too hideous to allow him to think of anything else. Hong Kong is a very beautiful town. It is built on the slopes of hills and on the tops too, which are much cooler than the city. Many rich people reside there. There is a tramway. The footnote reads, Peak Tramway, the first funicular railway in Asia, operational since 1888. There is a tramway going to the top of the hill, dragged by wire rope and steam power, almost perpendicular. We remained 3 days in Hong Kong and went to see Canton, which is 80 miles up a river. The Pearl River is broad enough to allow the biggest steamers to pass through. A number of Chinese steamers ply between Hong Kong and Canton. We took passage in one of these in the evening and reached Canton early in the morning. What a sight of bustle and life. What an immense number of boats almost covering the waters. And not only boats that are carrying on the trade, but thousands of boats which serve as houses to live in. And quite a lot of them are so nice and big. In fact, they are 2 or 3 stories high, with verandas running round and streets between, and all floating. We land on a strip of ground given by the Chinese government to foreigners to live in. Around us on both sides of the river, for miles and miles, is the big city. A wilderness of human beings pushing, struggling, surging, roaring. But with all its population, all its activity, it is the dirtiest town I saw. Not in the sense in which a town is called dirty in India, for as to that, not a speck of filth is allowed by the Chinese to go west. But the horrible stink arising from the body of every Chinaman who have, it seems, taken a vow never to bath. Every house is a shop, and people living only on the top floor. The streets are very, very narrow, so that you almost touch the shops on both sides as you go. At every 10 paces, you find meat stalls, and there are shops which sell cats and dogs' meat. Of course, only the poorest class of Chinamen eat dogs or cats. The Chinese lady can never be seen. They have got as strict a zenana as the Hindus of northern India. Only the women of the laboring classes can be seen. Even amongst these, one sees now and then a female with feet smaller than that of your youngest child. And of course, they cannot be said to walk but hobble. I went to see several Chinese temples, the biggest in Canton, The footnote reads, Hualin Temple, also known as the Temple of the 500 Geni or Gods, is a Buddhist temple in Canton. Canton is now Guangzhou, China. The first emperor was Wu of Liang, 502 to 549 C, who embraced and promoted Buddhism in China. The biggest in Canton is dedicated to the memory of the first Buddhistic emperor and the 500 first disciples of Buddhism. The central figure, of course, is Buddha, and next beneath him is seated the emperor, and ranging on both sides are the statues of the disciples, all beautifully carved out of wood. From Canton, I returned back to Hong Kong, from Hong Kong to Japan. The first port we touched was Nagasaki. We landed for a few hours and drove through the town. What a contrast! The Japanese are one of the cleanliest people on earth. Everything so neat and tidy. Their streets are nearly all broad and straight, regularly paved. Their cage-like neat little houses, their pine-covered evergreen little hills, forming the background of almost every town and village. The short-statured, fair-skinned, quaintly dressed Japs, their movements, attitudes, gestures, everything is picturesque. Japan is the land of the picturesque. Every house has almost a grand garden at the back, very nicely laid out according to Japanese fashion, with small shrubs, grass plots, small artificial waters, and small stone bridges. From Nagasaki to Kobe. Here I gave up the steamer and took the land route to Yokohama, with a view to see the interior of Japan. I have seen three big cities in the interior: Osaka, a great manufacturing town; Kyoto, the former capital; and Tokyo, the present capital. Tokyo is nearly twice the size of Calcutta, with nearly double the population. No foreigner is allowed to travel in the interior without a passport. The Japanese seem now to have fully awakened themselves to the necessity of the present times. They have now a thoroughly organized army equipped with guns, which one of their own officers has invented and which is said to be second to none. Then they are continually increasing their navy. I have seen a tunnel. The footnote regarding the tunnel says the Yanagase tunnel on the Hokuriku line, about 1352 meters long, as Japan's first tunnel, longer than 1 kilometer, was completed in 1884. I have seen a tunnel bored by a Japanese engineer nearly a mile long. The match factories. The footnote reads, Swamiji met Jamshedji Nusrowanji Tata, 1839 to 1904, founder of the Tata Group, at the Oriental Hotel in Yokohama. Jamshedji was on a business trip to Japan and America. In the course of their conversation, Swamiji asked Jamshedji about his reason for visiting Japan. Jamshedji replied that he was the only importer of Japanese matchboxes in India. Hearing this, Swamiji exclaimed, "Why do you purchase matchsticks from Japan and sell them in India, thereby pumping out money from India? Instead, if you start a match factory in India, you can have the profit and some of our countrymen would earn their livelihood. The country's money will remain in the country. All technology has two components. One is the science and the other is manufacturing technology. India needs both to succeed." The match factories are simply a sight to be seen, and they are bent upon making everything they want in their own country. There is a Japanese line of steamers plying between China and Japan, and which shortly intends running between Bombay and Yokohama. I saw quite a lot of temples. In every temple, there are some Sanskrit mantras written in old Bengali characters. Only a few of the priests know Sanskrit, but they are an intelligent sect. The modern rage for progress has penetrated even the priesthood. I can't write what I have in my mind about the Japs in one short letter. Only I want that numbers of our young men must pay a visit to Japan and China every year, especially the Japanese, to whom India is still the dreamland of everything high and good. And you? What are you? Boobies talking twaddle all your lives. Vain talkers. What are you? Come, see these people and go and hide your faces in very shame. Land of dotards. You lose your caste if you come out. Sitting down these 1,000 years with an ever increasing load of crystallized superstition on your heads, for 1,000 years spending all your energy upon discussing the touchableness or untouchableness of this food or that, sucked in and into the very depths of gyrating foolery of priestcraft, with all humanity crushed out of you by continuous social tyranny of ages. What are you? And what are you doing now? Fools, promenading the seashores with books in your hands, repeating undigested stray bits of European brainwork, and the whole soul bent upon getting rupees 30 clerkship, or at best to become a roguish lawyer, the height of young India's ambition, and every student with a whole brood of beastlings crackling at his heels and asking for bread. Is there not water enough in the sea to drown your books, gowns, and university diplomas and all? Come, be men. First kick out the rascally priests, because these brainless brutes would never mend. Their zero of hearts would never become big. They are the offsprings of centuries of superstition and tyranny. Root them out first. Come, be men. Come out of your narrow holes and have a look abroad. See how nations are on their march. Do you love man? Do you love your country? Then come out. Let us struggle for higher and better things. Look not back. No, not even if you see the dearest and nearest cry. Look not back, but forward march. India wants the sacrifice of at least 1,000 of young men. Men, mind, and not brutes. The English government has been the instrument brought over here by the Lord to break your crystallized civilization, and Madras supplied the first men who helped in giving the English a footing. How many men, unselfish and thoroughgoing men, is Madras ready to now to supply, to struggle into life and death to bring about a new state of things, sympathy for the poor, and bread to their hungry mouths, enlightenment to the people at large, and struggle unto death to make men of them who have been brought to the level of beasts by the tyranny of your forefathers. I hope, Alasinga, Jagmohan treated you well after I was off. Write to me, care of Cooks and Son, Chicago. Yours, etc., Vivekananda. Postscript: don't publish this letter. Calm and silent and steady work and no newspaper humbug. No name making, you must always remember. V.